Choose your cloud, personal or public. Hi, I'm Sal Sanders. I initially presented on this topic for a conference attended largely by educators. I decided to do a slightly revised version of that presentation because I thought our class could benefit from a discussion of this topic as well. I have a lot of cool stuff in digital format. I'm guessing you probably do too, such as pictures, video, audio files. Some of that stuff is very important, such as notes from my meetings with the dean, or the provost, or other people, right? I have many files that are very important, perhaps even irreplaceable. Some of that content I prefer not be publicly available. Some of it I want to be publicly available because I want people to be able to find it and avail themselves of it. But some of the content I'd like to keep rather private, or at least make it available only to people who I select. So backing up various devices, such as my computer and phone, can be done in ways to allow access to content locally, meaning that you need to have access to the device in order to access the content, or at least unless you're a really good hacker, I suppose. Content can also be placed where others, including the public, might have access, such as when you want to share files. I want to be able to access all the stuff that I have. I want to be able to access all of my files. And I want to be able to access it using fixed as well as mobile devices such as my iPhone, notebook computer, tablet, and my desktop computer. Yes, I do still have a desktop computer. I also want to be able to share some of the files. For example, I do some photography and I like to share photos with others. Of course, I could and often do carry content using my phone, which has a fairly reasonably sized hard drive, as well as any number of USB storage devices. The biggest issue with the USB drives, at least for me, is losing them. In fact, I was just walking on campus today and found one. I turned it into a parking attendant because it was out in a parking lot. Certainly someone is wanting the content on that drive. There are a number of network hard drives that are out there, and some of them even allow you to create a cloud so that you and others that you might allow can access files remotely. And one example is this iOmega drive here, which was their home cloud edition, so you can create a private cloud. I actually added this Pogo plug device, which interfaced with my external hard drive and my computer system and allowed me to create a personal cloud using that external hard drive. And it works very well. Some of the uses of personal cloud that educators might find useful include sharing and accessing files from nearly anywhere with a variety of devices, allowing and controlling access to those files, creating backup files or redundancy so that you don't lose data inadvertently in the case of some sort of crisis. You can access media, easily increase storage by adding a number of hard drives, and files reside locally, so you have a little bit more control over the security of those files. And in many cases, a personal cloud will also allow you to stream media, such as video or audio files. I was able to hook up a personal cloud using that Pogo Plug system for about $150, and that included a 2 terabyte hard drive, so relatively inexpensive. So I have ample storage available, and it works well for remote file access. However, I still have a few questions. I really don't know how secure it is. Maintenance and replacement costs are a consideration. Eventually that hard drive will fail, and since I'm not subscribed to a software for service type of system, I would have to replace it at what might be $100. Again, who knows what the price of hard drives will be in the future. Access isn't always speedy. It depends a lot on what's happening on my local system. And then streaming media is not always speedy as well. But it's reasonably quick, I have to say. I could have opted for a public cloud service, and the costs vary. There are places like iCloud where you can get free service, and you can also purchase storage upgrades. Screencast also allows you to get some storage free and allows you to stream media files to users. You can also upgrade on Screencast for about $10 a month. And then services for backing up, especially like Carbonite, about $60 a year to back up files. So another option is public cloud service where your files reside outside your local computer. Some considerations about such a service are costs and also, I guess, security and privacy issues as well. I do use Screencast, and I've used it for a lot of educational video. It's a service provided by Camtasia to store and allow access to some of the instructional video files that I've created and have had others create for me. I can avoid the transfer limit problem by paying for an upgraded account, although sometimes I don't, at least I haven't yet. So it does have a limit as to how much bandwidth you can use up, and so when you reach that transfer limit, you get an error message sent out to the people who are trying to access the content. And for about $10 a month, I could upgrade my account. Some of the cloud computing service characteristics as they might apply to education. Necessity refers to the idea that a preponderance of users depend on the service to satisfy everyday needs, so it's necessary. Reliability refers to the expectation that the service will be available when the user requires it. It's reliable. Usability refers to the requirement that the service is easy and convenient to use, regardless of the complexity of the underlying infrastructure. To the user, it's easy to use, it has usability. Scalability refers to the fact that the service has sufficient capacity to allow the users to experience the benefits of an expandable service that provides economy of scale. Of course, there are many advantages of using cloud applications for companies. Clouds allow sharing of information and computing resources among companies, so they can provide cost-effective, reliable service. They're scalable so that as you use more and more, you benefit from economies of scale. And there is an advantage of preserving data integrity, and redundancy allows you to avoid catastrophes of losing data by having multiple copies and perhaps even redundant systems. For education, cloud computing provides access to software, computing facilities, and storage via the internet. It's especially attractive to small to mid-sized institutions. Lower total cost of ownership is available, and you can purchase computing access as a service. Integrity is one company that provides video capture, such as recording lectures and presentations, which can then be made available to others at a time and place convenient to them. And this is a quote that Integrity features. Arkansas Tech University wanted a lecture capture system that could be deployed quickly and scaled easily and affordably as usage grew. Cloud applications that are cloud hosted are sometimes offered as a hosted service, which one might subscribe to. Instead of buying the software, you pay for software as a service. Katzen suggests that there are advantages to private and community clouds for education. Private clouds, the cloud infrastructure is operated solely for an organization, so you have your own private cloud. And then there's an advantage with community clouds in that the cloud infrastructure is shared by several organizations and supports a specific community that has shared concerns. And the shared concerns might include mission, security requirements, policy, and compliance considerations. There are also educational applications for public clouds and hybrids, which consist of two or more clouds, private, community, or public. Public clouds, the cloud infrastructure is made available to the general public or a large industry group and is owned by an organization selling cloud services. The 4 E's focused on meeting the user's needs by collecting and analyzing users' behavior, prospecting future services, building corresponding contents, delivering the contents via the cloud. So the smart e-learning model in cloud computing environment provides personalized and customized learning services to its users. Users' behavior is often collected through mobile devices, one example being smartphones, another could be tablets. Cloud services and applications allow for multiple representations of data, such as when using Google Docs. You might have a spreadsheet and then be able to represent the data as the data within the spreadsheet. Also graphs and even gauges in Google Docs and other programs that allow you to display things such as dashboards of your data. Some of the images used in this presentation were from these websites by Apple and Dell. There were also some original images included that I produced myself. And these are some other resources that I used in putting together the presentation. These are some articles that you might find useful as well as informative. And finishing out the resource list, here are links to a number of the different software and applications that I talked about in the presentation. Hope you enjoyed this talk. Enjoy the day. Bye.